What's going on, everyone? It's Mike back again, and I have a better co-host tonight. I've got a better co-host. He's more pragmatic, he's more analytical, and I've asked him to come on and just really be a better face than John, to be honest, who you've all probably got tired of. So I'm going to leave it with my guest. I'll let him introduce himself and obviously promote his YouTube channel and everything else he does, by the way, because the guy is amazing. So off you go, mate.
Oh, you set the bar so incredibly high there. How can I ever live up to those expectations? That's amazing. So basically, I'm Kai. I do a bit of everything. Really, I do YouTube in my spare time. Do a bit of TikTok in there. Probably a lot of people have seen me or disagreed with me on Twitter at some point. And then away from that, I also work in the YouTube scene with James Olcott. So that keeps me quite busy as well. But yeah, I'm a massive Everton fan. I had a season ticket for 7 years before I came down here. And so yeah, I thought might as well make some Everton stuff.
Mate, I am being funny. You've got the resume to do it, mate. So go over to his YouTube channel. The link will be in the description below. It will be the first link. And obviously the second link in there will be our channel sponsors, which is Flyers Indoor Golf. Save 20 is the current discount code for 20% off. So get over to the website, get yourself booked on to some virtual golf, guys, especially just before the Roma game. A few pints, bit of golf. You're laughing. Kai, let's get straight into it, because you did a video about, and I still can't pronounce his first name, so you're going to be able to help with that one as well. But is it Tierno or Thierno Barry?
Restaurant.
You did such a good piece, and there was a couple of particular moments that I really liked where you were talking about how he comes short and then he drops back into the space and behind and things. As an Everton fan and a bit of a producer in this scene, how excited are you? And equally, how excited are the people that you know about this signing for Everton?
Yeah, so when I saw the links, I was like, oh, we're just getting linked to drive up the price for someone who's in Europa League or maybe even Champions League as a backup striker. So then I was a bit like, oh, it caught my eye, but I was never expecting it. And then when the term release clause was getting floated about, I was like, wait, are we actually doing it? We're going to spend that money? And it looks like we may have got him for less than his release clause, which is just pretty impressive, to be fair, because he would have had suitors just fresh off the Euros with France in the 21s, and that's a really hard squad to get into to start with. Granted, he wasn't starting the games, but when they have Matisse Tell, who's cost £50 million, maybe more this summer, it's impressive just to be replacing him off the bench. And do you know what? He was doing better than Matisse Tell was when he came off the bench against Georgia. It was very impressive, scoring basically just a tap in, but to get into those positions is something I quite like. Feel like that's been something we've been missing. When speaking to people about him, it's pretty good reviews. So I've been working on a show for DAZN this last 3 weeks with Julian Laurent, obviously massive into his French football, is French sports pilot, PSG. And I was speaking to him about him, and he was saying, yeah, he is very good. And so for that reason, if Jules rated someone, I was like, okay, he's never going to come to Everton then, because he must be too good for us. But then I was speaking to who was also at DAZN for the day, Gail Clichy, who's France under 21's assistant manager. And he was raving about him, which made me even more excited. And the day after, then it looked like we were going to sign him. So, and we still haven't announced this, so I'm a bit touchy about it, but hopefully it looks like we might get him. His play style is so people are going to be lazy and say, oh, he just plays like Beto. But I don't think he does. Beto will peel off to the channels and try to be penetrative in the way he targets the back line. But when Beto has got someone 1v1, because he's quite quick and he's got the physicality, he sometimes just bundles his way past people. We saw it in the Merseyside derby. He hit the post at Anfield by bundling through people. Barry's a bit different. He's more measured in the way he takes on people. He'll slow them down to then speed back up, because once you've got the defender on his back foot, he then accelerates back up again, and he's so quick to do so. For the 6'5" striker, it's quite rare you see someone be able to just to flick the switch and go like that. Especially technically, it's quite a hard skill to do anyway. But then you need those like fast twitch muscle fibers in the first place to be able to do it. So that caught my eye when I was just watching just highlights of Villarreal from last season, because we were doing something on La Liga. And that's kind of stayed in my mind. So when we were linked to him, I was like, wait, this is such an upgrade for us. Because not only can he do that rare skill of being able to beat players, he's also just a great finisher. He's instinctual in the way he finishes. Like, I think sometimes like Calvert-Lewin, when he has been one-on-one and he has to think about it too much, when he's not on form, that's been a part of his game that's struggled. Barry just hits it and hopes for it. So sometimes don't be surprised if you see him cut inside and shoot and balloon one over the bar, because that does happen. But that's all part of being quite a raw striker. He'd never played in a top 5 league in Europe until this time last year. He played for Basel this time last year, and it was great for them. But then the jump to La Liga, and then the next jump up to the Premier League is something that there's still questions about. But it looks like if you can do the jump from Basel to La Liga, the jump from La Liga to the Prem is not as big for me, I don't think. Especially when you're playing against those defenses. Some of the defenses in La Liga, Atletico Madrid, for example, are amazing. He did really well against them.
Yeah, I think it's the big things that have stood out for me, having now watched as much Villarreal footage as I can, as many highlights of him as I can. You know, we all turn into these football gurus, don't we, when we're linked to these players, especially with a big price tag, 35 million euros essentially, which you're right, it's under the 40 million euros. And it does look, by all accounts, everything he's done, he's on holiday, but everything he's signed, sealed, he's got a medical, whenever it happens, it sounds like it's going to happen. So touch wood, it happens. But there's been so many comparisons to different strikers that I've watched and I've looked at, and some people have been saying he's similar to Lukaku, and that he may fill out like Lukaku, maybe not quite to the extremes, and that's no dig at Lukaku, but Lukaku at 22 years of age, 23 years of age, playing in an Everton side, was an absolute machine. And I think Barry's got all the capability of doing that, plus maybe an extra inch or two, maybe 3 inches extra in terms of height. So that excites me. You're absolutely right about his pace. I think when he gets going, it's blistering. By all accounts, he's a rapid centre forward. And you've seen him take shots early. So he's got all of the attributes that we want, and to spring a surprise on a low block or a high line, he can do both. He can score goals with his head. And for his first season in the Liga, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because you'll know this better than me, but what was it? 35 appearances, 11 goals and 4 assists.
Yeah.
That's some going for a lad that you rightly say has just stepped up from the Swiss league. So I'm really excited by Barry, and I think we should be as a fan base. I'm interested to see what happens with Beto, and I'm interested to see what happens with Chimiti, because Chimiti hasn't really had the chance. And Beto, you're absolutely right. He is a bit of a lump, and he will bulldoze through people. But you can't say he's what you would call a classy footballer. He's not a tactician. He's not a specialist with his ideology. He's just a brute force machine. I think Barry has genuinely got a little bit of everything, and that's the bit that excites me about him. So in terms of the fee, based in current market, you've seen players, we've seen John Duran go for 60, 70 million to, Saudi, and now looks like he's left and he's going to Turkey. In terms of fee, are you comfortable with the fee? Do you think we've overpaid, underpaid? Where are you at?
Yeah, so the fees are a funny one for me, really. Pretty much, usually when people are complaining about fees, that this is usually, I'm like, whatever, really, it's not my money. But with Everton and the trouble we found ourselves in, because we are so poor at spending money, we have been, we may not be now, it does raise eyebrows whenever we spend over 10. I think there's a bit of trauma there for everyone, and it's fair because like there has been hairy moments that not only obviously the point deduction, but also the transfer window where we were just relying on free agents and then bought Damari Gray for 1.8 million. So that we don't want that. We had something like 6-7 transfer windows where we just didn't have any money, and now we do have money. Spending that is like it's so important that we get these moves right. But with the fee and how old he is, he's 22. He's a France under 21 international, and just them being like them calling him up to that squad is quite a good thing to see, because calling him up shows that they probably see a future where he can play in the first team, because they wouldn't do it otherwise. They've got so much talent, and that shows that the price we're paying, even if he doesn't work out, we might still pay that price. Someone might pay that price just to get him out of Everton in 3 years' time. And that's not the worst case. The best case, obviously, is does really well and we sell him for 60, 70. So, and with the Duran thing, like, that's always a factor. Like, Saudi team could come in and offer more than the player's worth. We haven't really benefited from that yet, but it could happen.
Yeah, you are right. I think we've been stuck in this predicament that our players, in the nicest possible way, they just haven't been attractive in terms of sales. And we need to change that. We need to sign young, hungry players. I think we need to sign players that may have a sell-on value, albeit, the idea is that Everton progress and we start challenging for European spots. And, I'm sure the dream for most Evertonians is that we start challenging for, titles and Champions League. And, I haven't seen it in my lifetime. You're younger than me, so you definitely haven't seen it. So, for me to be 33 years old and, I was 3 when we won the FA Cup, it means I don't remember it. We have to start getting on a better trajectory. And I think in time we will, but that does take time, and that's that building blocks. We've been linked with other players. I think it's fair that we mention the news that broke last evening, which was Garner signing that 1-year extension. Now, obviously, you are incredibly analytical. The tweets, the videos you put out. Are you happy that we've continued to stick with Garner, who was player of the season, I think manager's player of the season last season? Are you happy that we've still got Garner and we might build around him even now?
Yes, always is the case that everybody wants younger, but younger has to be better. Like, so the numbers Garner puts up for recoveries, tackles, interceptions, they are very, very hard to match. Like, he's often up there. He might not be first some seasons, but he's always second or third for tackles. This season, I'm pretty sure he was first for tackles made. And with that ability just to break play up, you do afford yourself that other midfielder next to him to maybe be a bit more we have a bit more on the ball quality. But then again, with Garner, it'd be silly not to. We've done quite well to just give him a year, to be fair, because he was so good last season. He could have demanded 2. He could have demanded 2 years, and it wouldn't have been hard for the club to argue. Like, how are you going to argue against your best player wanting 2 years on top when he's been such a good servant? He's put up such good numbers. The manager clearly rates him. Like, most of the fans, I'd say like 80% of the fans rate him. Crazy if you don't. So having that 1 year extra is good for us in terms of all the other players we've got leaving. So there's so many of them. That's again like the Michael Keane thing. Probably shouldn't have kept him, but it makes sense to keep him because like you've got other positions you need to fill, and what we don't want is a couple of days before the transfer window closes, we're scrambling for another centre back to replace Michael Keane, and that centre back can ask for 5 years and a contract we can't get him out of if we want to sell him on. Like Holgate, for example, we put him on such high money. Why would he leave? There's no point. Like, you just go on loan, continue to collect the wages.
Mate, we've done this. This has been an Everton thing for years. I remember sitting there on deadline day waiting for big signings, and we signed Anthony Gardner from Tottenham, who was a centre back free transfer. I've seen us sign Lucas Neal, albeit that one turned out okay from Blackburn. He didn't play loads, but he was all right when he played. I've seen us sign Mangala from Manchester City. I don't think he played the game.
So bit of half, I think, when I've injured.
Yeah, so I've seen Everton do that. I think we signed a player called what's his name, Lassina Traore.
Yeah, 6'7" striker.
Yeah, he scored the back heel and then was injured. So look, we've seen it. So yeah, I agree. Michael Keane would not have been my first choice to retain, but finding a centre half that is happy to play as your fourth choice behind, Jared Branthwaite, who, in my opinion, is criminally underrated in UK football.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jake O'Brien, I actually put in the same category as Jared Branthwaite. I think Jake O'Brien is the one that everyone is sleeping on. I think Jake O'Brien is just as good as Branthwaite. I just don't think even Everton fans know that yet. I think he's that good. And then you've got Tarkowski, who has been a stalwart, has been a fantastic free signing, and he's going into the last year of his deal. So, I'm sure Everton are going to be negotiating with him to try and keep him as well. So there's lots going on in that position, and I think it kind of made sense for Michael Keane to stay, albeit it's not my first choice. I'd rather not have the conversation on Jack Harrison, so we're not going to have that conversation on Jack Harrison, but I'm more than happy for him to not stay and him to go back to Leeds personally.
Yeah, it's just it's such a I know what you mean. It's worse because we keep getting him back. Why? Surely, if you can loan someone, because it's not like you sent to sell him, you just loan someone else.
Yeah, agreed. Right, let's talk about the middle of the park then, because we have been linked with central midfielders, and again, you would have no doubt been doing a little bit of due diligence. We've been linked with Ndidi, we've been linked with Douglas Luiz, which is the one that sort of really stands out to me. We have been linked with other ones as well. We were linked with Conor Gallagher. We were linked briefly with Mason Mount. When you're looking at that position alongside Garner, what are you looking for? And out of those four names, who's the one that you would want?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's easy to think, because we've got Garner, we don't need legs. I think we still do, because we are going to be a transitional team. And the two defensive midfielders often do set up the work for those front four to be a bit freer and be a bit higher up when we need them to be higher up. Njai will track back, but what a waste. He's such a good player in the high advanced areas. You want that work to be done by the other players, not water carriers, but somebody who's going to stay in their position and do that work. So you need someone who's ready to stay not deep, but in the middle third, really. However, Garner, as much as I love him, he doesn't offer that much creatively. He loves taking a shot from outside the box, and isn't one day he'll score one, it'll be great. But until that day comes, we need someone who does that job slightly better. So, but you also need a bit of physicality as well, because Garner he can be physical, but he's not the tallest. So you could, in theory, play a target man on him and possibly, exploit something there. Out of those names, I think obviously Douglas Luiz at Villa, he was playing with Kamara, who is a similar profile to Garner, and who will do the dirty work, do the first phase stuff for Douglas Luiz to stay higher. And once he moved to a slightly higher, playing as an 8, not a 6, he was so much better than he was under Gerrard when he was playing as a 6, a single 6, which is such a waste of his talent. So hopefully they can, in possession, Douglas Luiz can stay a bit higher, maybe link the play. And then obviously you've got Alcaraz, who might start as a 10, probably will at this rate. Who else are we going to play there? Might bring someone in, who knows? Unless you bring in a winger and play Njai in the middle. But to be fair, Alcaraz is great, so he probably will start. But having that extra midfielder who can combine centrally with him just makes it so much better from a tactical perspective, because if you have that 8 stepping up with Alcaraz there as well, the centre is going to get very packed, which means your two wingers are going to be often 1v1 with their fullbacks, and that's exactly what we want Njai to be doing. So Douglas Luiz is the one that screams out to me, mainly because it's like realistic. Somehow it's realistic. In my head, I've trained myself to think it's because of the fee that's been getting touted about 21 million. I think you'd be a fool not to, if we could get him.
It sounds low, doesn't it? It sounds low to me. 21 million.
Like, what's wrong with him?
Yeah, it sounds low, and what people forget is he's still only 27, and by all accounts, I think he's just turned 27 as well. He has been in the Premier League a long time. He was signed at Aston Villa for 15 million from Manchester City, who had a buyback clause on him and never triggered it, which even now is mad to think. And this is a player, and you actually called it exactly how I called it earlier. But me and John are having a chat, and I was talking about how I'd want my team to line up. And I actually said, look, I'd almost want a 6, an 8, and a 10, almost in the line. But with your 8 being able to be the ball transition player, Garner brings the ball back, it goes into Douglas Luiz, and Douglas Luiz plays the park. Whether that is playing it through to Alcaraz, who makes a little bit of space and gets a shot off or finds another pass. But having a Douglas Luiz with the distribution that he's got would be an incredible, in my opinion, an incredible acquisition. Somebody that would really lead Everton's sort of forward press, forward attack, being able to almost have that ability to just stop the game and work out the right method of getting the ball to the right place. We have lacked a player with what I would call a football IQ for a long time, and as much as we all rave about Harrison Armstrong, he's still very, very young. James Garner, we see very, very occasionally. We saw a fantastic through ball against Tottenham. I don't remember another fantastic through ball all season, sort of thing. He's very tenacious, but he's not a Douglas Luiz type mastermind on a ball.
Nah. Yeah, and Douglas Luiz gets goals as well. I think he got I swear he got like 11 for Villa before he went to Juve. A lot of them were pens, but the ones that weren't pens were great instances of him breaking that line and going into the box. We don't really have that. Garner will stay usually stays back. There's a world where I could see Garner playing right back. He played there for the England under-21s, not this team, the one before that, the one that won the Euros. And he was really, really good there because he got so much time on the ball there and he just tucks in. So there's a world where that could happen. I don't mind that, but Garner being a squad player isn't a bad thing, because if James Garner's your squad player, that shows that the squad's in a healthy position.
Yeah, I agree. And again, I actually mentioned that to John because I think he's the sort of player that could transition and support in that role. It's what Moyes does. I find this window so interesting. And on the debate that we did yesterday, we had Millsy from across the park, and obviously me and John, we were talking about the transfer window as a whole. And a lot of Everton fans, if I'm being honest, from what I've saw on Twitter, from what I've saw in WhatsApp groups, in Facebook, a lot of people are panicking over the lack of signings or the lack of motion. Now, I semi-get it. There's no reason why we couldn't have brought in an experienced fullback that could play left or right on a free transfer. Someone like the guy from Leon,
Tagliafico.
Yeah. There's no reason why that couldn't have happened. We need a goalkeeper. We know we do. We literally don't have a number 2 unless they're going to promote Harry Tyler, which I think would be very ballsy because he's so young. But we've saw quality keepers. James Trafford is a very young goalkeeper, and he's had to have the opportunity. Jordan Pickford, before we played for Sunderland, was in somewhere like Stockport or the third division.
And Preston before after that as well.
Yeah, so it does happen. So I'm not too phased about it, but I never thought we'd go and get our big signings now, because in my mind, all the big signings are playing in the Club World Cup or are playing in the under-21 tournament. They were never going to be in by the 1st of July because of holidays and recruitment issues and everything else. And if Everton were in a position where they could have moved before the 30th of June, I think they would have. But we just we just hadn't had the money from a PSR perspective. Charlie Alcaraz was the only one that could happen, and that was already kind of pre-agreed if he made a certain amount of games. So the money was already there. I just sit there and think now this next sort of 3 to 4 weeks is absolutely crucial for Everton, because we go into this game in pretty much a month's time against Roma, 9th of August, I think it is, if I'm not mistaken. A game at Hill Dickinson Stadium, which, I mean, wow.
Whatever pays the bills, man.
All jokes aside, because obviously you're in a fortunate position where you speak to some fairly big creators in YouTube, like James, for example. What's he said about that stadium now? What's his opinion on that? Because surely when he looked at Everton he's always been very complimentary of Everton, to be fair to James, always. What does he look at that in terms of brand for Everton, the global awareness piece?
So it didn't have an opinion really. He basically asked me, "What is it?" And I was like, "I don't know. I think it's a law firm." And it was like, "Oh, is it an international one?" And I was like, "I don't know. I've never heard them." But then I said to him, "It's just like whatever pays the bills. Like, it's not the best name in my opinion, but it pays the bills. Like whatever gets us over the line, it brings in the most money is whatever I want. Because I'm still going to call it Bramley Moore."
Yeah, so am I. And I think every Evertonian will still call it Bramley Moore. I can't imagine anyone calling it the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Apart from obviously the Sky and whatever, they'll obviously have.
Yeah, they'll have to. Yeah.
But right, last question for you then, because it's only fair. Now, you've got your expectations on Everton. You obviously know the rest of the football circuit as well. Realistically, where do you think Everton finish this season? What should the ambition be?
Oh, see, I'm always optimistic. So I say this to everyone, like for the longest time growing up, we would always finish 7th, always. And that was back when you didn't get anything for it. Now you actually do get something for it. We're never close. Like even under Ancelotti, we were like 10th. And that's like, that was a great season.
Mate,
so,
that annoyed me so much that season, because we were
Leeds
finishing Boxing Day.
Yeah. Leeds finishing above us that season. Look where they are now. Like they're in the Premier, just. So I think, I don't know, years of supporting Everton have conditioned me to feel like a certain way about how it ends. And that's very sour and bitter usually. I think 8th is achievable. But I'm going to go 7th just because why not?
I love that. Well, so John and mine prediction was also 8th, to be fair. So we both said 8th.
So I used to.
I think David Moyes will get a tune out of whatever team he's got.
He's done it before with a worse team.
He did it this season with a worse team, in my opinion. Exactly. He managed to turn a team that looked devoid of everything. The only thing that was probably going to keep us up was that defense. And he turned it into a team that could score goals. We went from being, I think at the time, we were either bottom or second bottom in terms of goals scored. And I think we finished about 15th or 14th in terms of that goals scored table. Yeah. Which doesn't sound a lot. But when you think about he only had, 19 games or 18 games to do that, to turn that around. Yeah. And he had a shed load of draws in that as well. That's an incredible achievement. And to be 3-0 up against Spurs at half-time, incredible achievement. So for me, I think David might get to tune out of any team he puts out. And I think I'm really excited about this window. I just think it's really key we get it right. And I mean, really, really right. Like it can't be. I don't think you can make a mistake on a player this season because we just don't have the squad depth to cope with that. No. There's people saying we need to sign 12 players, we need to sign 10 players. I don't think Everton do that. I think they sign probably more like 7 or 8. And I think you'll see the building blocks have already been put in place. The team that is there now is almost like the base start, and now you're just going to add the quality to it now. You don't necessarily need another defender. You don't necessarily need another midfielder, but I think they will go and get another midfielder. We know we need 1, if not 2 wingers, and we know we need 1, if not 2 strikers, and that's and a goalkeeper. And they're kind of the positions that I expect.
Yeah.
It's just going to be an interesting season.
Yeah, I just hope it goes well. I hope we can make money from them. Selling is good. Like, selling is good. It's how we buy more. So hopefully in 4 years' time, we'll look back and like double the money on everyone.
Yeah, fair. Kai, look, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for taking a bit of time out of your incredibly busy schedule. I know you've been working in for stuff for the Euros, and I know you've been working on loads of other YouTube channels, etc., etc., etc. So thank you so much for coming over and jumping on a video with me. Where can people find you, mate?
Yeah, so I think it's Kai Jones on YouTube. If you search it, it'll come up. Kai Jones or FTBL on TikTok as well. And then my Instagram is Kairhys7, CAIRHYS7.
Cool. There you go. So, guys, make sure you go and follow him. The link will be in the description below. Kai's fantastic. So go and watch that, especially that Barry video. I actually put the Barry video as the link. So watch that video, and you will all be as excited as I am about signing.
I'll do it for every signing as well. So more reason to watch.
There you go. You see, honestly, every signing will have you on here as well, mate. You plug it as much as you like. You'll be doing us a favour, because John knows nothing about football. You'll be pleased to know. Right, guys, look, we will leave it there. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. As we mentioned earlier at the start of the video, we're still sponsored by Flyers in the last 32 minutes. No deals have been cancelled. We are still sponsored by Flyers. So get yourself over to the website, link in the description below, book some golf, and I will see you there prior to the Roma game for a pint. Hopefully we might see Kai popping in. It'd be nice to see him. If he's not busy, he might be in the gantry, behind the cameras and all that. He's here, there, and everywhere. What's next for you then, pal? What's next? What's the next project, or are you not allowed to tell us?
There's some few things going on, of which I can say we'll be doing more Premier League stuff. We'll be doing this James podcast on Spotify, The Ripple Effect. That's going to continue. And then it's just more YouTube stuff, be that with James or like my own stuff as well, TikTok as well. Yeah, it's just until people get sick of me, really. So let's see when that day comes.
Mate, keep it going. Keep it going. We need more positive smiley faces on YouTube and TikTok and everywhere else. So keep going, mate. Really, really, really happy that you're an Evertonian and you can fly the flag in the big circles, mate. Right, we will leave it there. See you soon, guys. Up the toffees. Peace.